Have you ever noticed that the more someone tries to be unforgettable, the faster they are forgotten, while the woman who says less, chases less, and proves nothing somehow stays in a man's mind for days? There is a kind of energy that does not beg to be seen, yet it pulls attention without effort. It is quiet but powerful, soft yet impossible to ignore. And the truth is, most people never learn how to use it. They think attraction comes from saying the right things, replying at the right time, looking perfect, or giving more love than they receive. But real pull begins much deeper than behavior. It starts in the hidden emotional layers people cannot explain, only feel. That is why someone can meet you once and keep thinking about you long after you are gone. That is why pulling back with peace often creates more desire than holding on with fear. And that is why a woman who knows her own depth can become unforgettable without trying to impress anyone. Stay with me because what you are about to hear is not about games, tricks, or fake mystery. It is about a deeper force that changes how attraction is felt from the inside out. And if you truly understand it, you will stop chasing attention and start becoming the kind of presence that lingers in someone's heart without force. There is an image living quietly inside the mind of many men, not of one exact woman, but of a feeling. It is something half remembered, half imagined, familiar yet far away, hard to describe but impossible to deny. And when a woman naturally touches that feeling, attraction becomes more than surface interest. It becomes emotional gravity. This is why men are not held only by beauty, charm, or personality on display. What holds them is the feeling that something in her reaches a deeper place inside them, a place they may not even understand themselves. When that inner feeling is awakened, attraction is no longer just liking someone. It becomes a pull that returns again and again. He thinks about her when he does not mean to. He wonders about her even when nothing dramatic happened. He feels drawn closer, not because she performed for him, but because something in her feels layered and alive. The woman who creates that effect is not perfect by social standards. She is not built from one polished trait. She carries softness without weakness, calm without emptiness, warmth with depth, and gentleness with a quiet fire underneath. She does not rush to make herself easy to read. She does not try to explain every part of who she is. She simply lives with truth. And truth has texture. It has shadows, light, silence, emotion, and presence. That is what makes her memorable. Not because she is trying to become a question, but because she does not flatten herself into an answer. A woman becomes unforgettable when she does not abandon herself just to be understood faster. That is one of the deepest shifts in attraction. So many people shrink their complexity because they want to be accepted quickly. They explain too much, reveal too much, and rush intimacy before real trust has even formed. But the woman who holds her center does something different. She lets people meet her in layers. She is kind, but not instantly open in every direction. She is warm, but not eager to hand over every private part of herself at the first sign of attention. She is real, but not emotionally exposed without reason. That space matters more than most people realize. Because when someone cannot fully grasp you in one moment, they keep returning inwardly. Their mind stays engaged, their emotions stay active. Their attention lingers. This is not manipulation. This is simply what happens when depth is not thrown away for quick validation. And here is where many get it wrong. They think attraction grows when they become more available, more agreeable, more understandable, more easy. But often the opposite is true. The more you over-explain, the less there is to discover. The more you try to secure interest, the more you remove the emotional tension that keeps it alive. This part matters, so listen closely. Being unforgettable is not about becoming distant. It is about becoming full enough within yourself that you no longer need to rush your soul into someone else's hands. One of the strongest forms of attraction comes from emotional contrast. Not chaos, not confusion, contrast. The ability to move through different emotional tones naturally and honestly. A woman who is only sweet all the time may seem pleasant, but she often becomes easy to predict. Predictability can feel safe, but it rarely creates deep fascination. What creates fascination is range. A woman who can laugh easily, tease lightly, and bring brightness into a room, then a moment later become calm, thoughtful, and emotionally deep, awakens something far stronger than surface attraction. He feels movement around her. He feels surprise. He feels curiosity. He senses that there is more under the surface, and that more keeps drawing him in. Picture this. She is playful in one moment, making everyone laugh without trying too hard. Then the conversation shifts, and so does she. Her voice softens, her eyes steady. She says something sincere, something real, and suddenly the room feels different. A man notices that change even if he cannot explain it. He feels her as more than one note, more than one mood, more than one easy label. That is what gives her emotional electricity. People remember what moves them, not what stays flat. They remember the person who made them feel something changing in real time. Not because that person was acting, but because they were alive in their full range. If you stay until the end of this, you will see why this matters so much. Attraction does not grow from being one thing perfectly. It grows from being real enough to carry opposites with grace. But emotional contrast only becomes powerful when it is rooted in self-mastery. Without that, it turns into instability. And instability may create temporary intensity, but it does not create deep respect. Emotional self-mastery means you feel deeply without letting every feeling command your behavior. It means you can be affected without being ruled. It means there is a quiet space between what you feel and what you choose to do. That space is one of the rarest forms of power. Imagine a man who suddenly becomes more distant. His messages slow down, his attention changes. For many people, that instantly creates panic. They start overthinking. They send more messages. They shift their energy. They chase clarity because silence feels unbearable. But a woman with self-mastery notices the change without collapsing into it. She may still feel discomfort. She may still wonder, but she does not act from fear. She sits with the emotion before she responds. She lets the storm pass through instead of building her entire reaction around it. That difference changes everything. Because now her energy says, I feel, but I do not fall apart. I care, but I do not lose myself. I notice, but I do not beg. In a world where so many react instantly, grounded emotional control feels rare and magnetic. It does not scream, it does not perform, it simply stands, and people feel it. They feel that she is not easy to shake. They feel that her center is not for sale. And that quiet steadiness creates more attraction than dramatic intensity ever could, because it signals value, maturity, and inner structure all at once. The woman with self-mastery is not cold. She is not unreachable. She is simply not desperate for emotional relief. That is what makes her different. She can say, I am busy today, but I am free this weekend. She can say no without guilt. She can walk away from weak effort without turning it into a crisis. She can feel longing without turning longing into self-betrayal. And once a woman reaches that place, the energy around her changes. She no longer rushes to secure love at any cost. She no longer tries to earn care by overgiving. She no longer treats every delay, every silence, every shift in mood like proof that she must now work harder to be chosen. Instead, she becomes the chooser too. She measures actions. She watches consistency. She allows time to reveal truth. And that changes the entire emotional structure of a relationship. Because when someone knows you are not easily thrown off balance, they feel your value more deeply. They realize your peace is not something they can disturb casually. They realize your attention is not automatic. They realize that access to your inner world means something. This is where many women become unforgettable, not when they become harder, not when they become colder, but when they become whole enough that their emotional life no longer revolves around managing someone else's uncertainty. And wait, because this next part is where attraction becomes even deeper. Once you can hold your center, you also learn how to leave space. And space, when it is real, can pull someone closer more strongly than constant presence ever will. Mystery is not acting distant. It is not delayed replies, forced silence, or pretending not to care. Those things may create temporary tension, but they fade quickly because they are empty at the center. Real mystery comes from depth that is not immediately handed over. It comes from knowing that not every part of you belongs in the first conversation, the first week, or the first moment of interest. When a man does not fully understand you yet, his imagination becomes active. He begins filling the spaces with feeling, meaning, and curiosity. He returns to your words. He replays your tone. He wonders what else is there. That is why some women stay in a man's thoughts without doing anything dramatic. There may have been no grand speech, no perfect date, no overwhelming chemistry on the surface. But something remained unfinished in the best way. Something open, something unclosed. That open space creates emotional return. If he asks about your past, you do not need to unload your whole history just to prove honesty. You can answer gently, with warmth and dignity, and leave deeper parts for the time when trust has actually earned them. That is not hiding, that is honoring your own depth. A woman loses much of her natural pull when she gives away her entire emotional map too early. Once every answer is on the table, curiosity weakens. And when curiosity weakens, desire often follows. A woman becomes a journey when she does not rush to become fully known. Not because she is playing a role, but because she understands that the deepest parts of her should be entered slowly, with care, not consumed in one sitting like content. And here is the part many miss. Mystery cannot feel beautiful if it is covering emptiness. If inside you are still starving to be understood, chosen, and completed by someone else, then your silence will not feel deep. It will feel tense. Your distance will not feel calm. It will feel loaded. That is why real attraction begins with your own life becoming alive in your own hands. The woman who can create joy within herself becomes hard to replace because she is no longer using a relationship as her only source of emotional life. She can enjoy a quiet morning alone. She can walk into a cafe with a book and feel full in her own company. She can laugh at something silly with nobody there to witness it. She can take care of her body, her thoughts, her space, and her spirit without needing applause for any of it. And that kind of aliveness changes everything. Because now, when a man enters her life, he is not being asked to rescue her from emptiness. He is being invited into something already living. That feels lighter. It feels more attractive. It feels like freedom instead of pressure. One woman waits all day for messages and feels dull when no one reaches out. Another woman has her own rhythm, her own small joys, her own emotional world that stays lit from within. Which one leaves the stronger impression? The answer is obvious. People are drawn to those who already carry life inside them, not because they are trying to be impressive, but because inner life radiates. It shows in the way they speak, move, laugh, pause, and simply exist. This is the glow many try to fake, but it cannot be faked for long. It comes from self-created meaning. When a woman creates her own joy, her presence stops feeling hungry. It becomes peaceful, vivid, and free. She no longer tries to squeeze all her worth out of how someone responds to her. She is not counting every message, measuring every pause, or building her mood around someone else's attention. She lives, and because she lives, she becomes more captivating. It is often the smallest details that leave the deepest mark. The way she gets excited over a simple thing, the way she lights up while talking about something she genuinely loves, the way she dances in the kitchen, smiles at a memory, or enjoys a quiet afternoon without needing it to become a performance. These moments tell a man something powerful. They tell him she is connected to life itself. She is not waiting for permission to feel alive. She is already there. And that changes how he experiences her. He does not feel like her emotional caretaker. He feels drawn to a source of energy he cannot control and does not need to manage. That is deeply attractive. Because what people remember is not only how someone looked, but how being near them felt. Did it feel heavy, demanding, draining? Or did it feel open, present, and alive? The woman who can smile without being watched, rest without feeling empty, and enjoy her own existence without needing to prove anything, carries a quiet magnetism that goes beyond beauty. She becomes memorable because her life is not asking to be filled. It is already full in motion, and that makes every shared moment feel chosen, not needed. And when presence becomes chosen instead of needy, it gains weight, real emotional weight. That weight grows even stronger through full presence. In a world where attention is broken into pieces, true presence feels almost sacred. Most people are physically there but emotionally scattered. They listen halfway, they wait to speak, they check their phone, they interrupt, they compare every story to their own. But the woman who becomes deeply felt is the one who can be fully there. She listens without rushing to fix. She receives without making everything about herself. She allows silence to breathe instead of filling every pause with noise. And this does something profound to a man. It makes him feel seen without being judged, heard without being corrected, and accepted without having to perform. Many men carry pressure they never fully speak about. When they do begin to open up, they are not always looking for advice. Often they are looking for space. Space to say what they feel without being managed. Space to be uncertain without losing dignity. Space to be human without defense. A woman who can hold that space becomes more than attractive. She becomes emotionally safe. And emotional safety is one of the deepest forms of pull there is. It does not create fireworks in the obvious way. It creates something stronger. It creates return. He wants to come back because with her, he does not have to fight for air. He does not have to entertain, impress, or explain every rough edge. He can simply be. That kind of presence is unforgettable because it is so rare. And if you are still watching, remember this line. Beauty can catch attention, but presence is what makes someone want to stay longer than they planned. Still, even beautiful presence can lose some of its emotional power if it never has any pause around it. This is where many people make a mistake. They think that if something feels good, more of it must be better. More messages, more availability, more instant access, more showing up. But emotional connection often deepens not only through contact, but through space. Strategic scarcity is not a game. It is not punishment. It is not fake distance. It is the natural result of having a real life that does not revolve around always being reachable. When you are always available, your presence becomes expected. And what becomes expected often loses emotional brightness. But when you have your own rhythm, your own plans, your own commitments, each moment shared with you feels more intentional. Imagine he asks to see you on a morning when you already have plans you care about. You do not drop everything in fear of missing your chance. You simply say, I already have plans this morning, but I can meet later. That one moment says so much without saying much at all. It says your time matters, your life is moving, your attention is not automatic. And none of that is harsh, it is just clear. Clarity carries its own elegance. When a man feels that you are not always waiting, he begins to value your presence differently. He becomes more awake inside the connection. He pays attention. He invests. Not because you played hard to get, but because you were never easy to consume. And that distinction matters more than people know. Scarcity is powerful only when it comes from self-respect, not manipulation. Otherwise, it collapses. There is another layer to this. When you are always the one maintaining everything, initiating everything, checking everything, soothing everything, and carrying the emotional movement of the connection, the other person does not have to step forward. And when they do not step forward, they do not build investment. Space allows that investment to happen. Space lets the other person think, miss, wonder, choose, and act. It gives their feelings somewhere to move. Too many women overfill the relationship because silence makes them nervous. They answer every question before it is asked. They solve every gap before it becomes real. They hold all the energy so nothing ever drops. But when you leave room, something changes. The other person gets the chance to reach. That reaching matters because people value what they participate in building. They feel attached to what they invest effort into. A woman becomes more deeply desired when she does not carry the whole weight of connection alone. She responds, but she also allows response. She cares, but she also allows effort. She gives warmth, but she also leaves enough room for the other person to move toward her. That is not passivity, it is wisdom. It is understanding that love grows stronger when both people bring energy, not when one person does all the emotional labor and calls it devotion. This is one of the strongest shifts you can make. Stop making your presence absolute. Stop filling every silence. Stop protecting the connection so much that the other person never has to reveal what they truly feel. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back 1 inch and let truth walk toward you on its own. And when that space opens, another important force appears: the chance for a man to express care. Many women are strong, capable, and fully able to handle life on their own. That strength is beautiful. But when strength becomes total emotional self-containment, it can accidentally leave no room for partnership. A man often bonds more deeply when he has the chance to contribute, protect, support, solve, or simply show up in a meaningful way. This does not mean becoming helpless. It does not mean pretending to be weak. It means allowing room for participation. If you are facing something small, you do not always have to carry it in silence just to prove you can. Sometimes, letting someone help is not dependence. Sometimes it is invitation. It tells him there is a place for his energy in your life. There is a role for his effort. There is meaning in his presence. And that matters deeply. People attach more strongly to what allows them to become more of themselves. If being with you calls forward his care, patience, strength, thoughtfulness, and protection, then being with you becomes emotionally significant. He is not only drawn to you, he is drawn to the version of himself he gets to feel when he is around you. That can be incredibly powerful. Because once someone has tasted a better version of themselves in your presence, walking away is no longer simple. They are not only leaving a person, they are leaving a feeling, a possibility, a part of who they were becoming. This is why connection deepens so much when a woman remains whole, yet still leaves room to receive. Receiving, when it is healthy, is not weakness. It is relationship in motion. So, what is the deeper truth in all of this? Attraction does not become powerful because you do more. It becomes powerful because you stop doing what fear has been making you do. You stop rushing. You stop overgiving. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to lock in attention before it has had time to grow naturally. You stop filling every silence as if silence means danger. You stop chasing proof that you matter. And in that stopping, something new appears: space, calm, rhythm, depth. The kind of energy that does not pull at someone, but allows them to move closer by choice. This is where your presence becomes strong. When you do not force emotional outcomes, people begin to reveal what is real. When you do not overmanage connection, effort becomes visible. When you do not hand out every layer of yourself at once, your depth gains meaning. When you remain emotionally alive without becoming emotionally dependent, your joy starts to shine in a way people can feel. And when your presence is both warm and self-respecting, close and unconquerable, soft and steady, something unforgettable begins to form. Not a performance, not a role, not a strategy, a way of being. If you understand this, you no longer need to obsess over how to make someone stay interested. You become the kind of person whose energy naturally leaves an imprint, the kind that cannot be understood in one glance, one talk, or one night, the kind that lingers, the kind that changes the emotional air just by being fully there and never betraying herself to be chosen. So if you have been trying too hard, giving too fast, explaining too much, or making someone else the center of your emotional world, let this be the turning point. Come back to your own life. Come back to your own pace. Come back to your own depth. Let your emotions move, but do not let them drive every choice. Let your warmth be real, but not cheapened by over-availability. Let your mystery be natural, not forced. Let your joy be self-made. Let your presence be full. Let your absence have meaning. Let your standards stay clean. Let your heart stay open, but not unguarded. And above all, stop thinking attraction is about getting someone to feel something on command. The most powerful presence is the one that does not beg to be felt. It is felt anyway. That is the shift. That is the secret. When you no longer try to control every emotional outcome, your energy becomes lighter and stronger at the same time. People feel the difference immediately. They may not have the words for it. They may not understand why they keep thinking about you, but they will feel it. And that feeling is what changes everything. If this spoke to something deep in you, hold on to it. Read it again. Sit with it. Let it change how you show up. Because once you truly live this way, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something you carry.